When most people hear the word slavery, their minds travel west, across the Atlantic toward plantations in the Americas. But long before the first European slave ships crossed the ocean, another system was already in motion. It ran east and north, crossed deserts instead of seas, and lasted not for centuries, but for more than 1,300 years. Its traces are still felt today. Before we dive into the main story, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell notification button for more interesting video like this. The longest slave trade in history, 7th century, 20th century. The Arab-Islamic slave trade began in the 7th century CE, following the rapid expansion of Arab Muslim empires after the rise of Islam, c. 622 CE. As new caliphates expanded into North Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Asia, systems of enslavement, some inherited from earlier empires and others newly organized, were institutionalized. From approximately 650 CE to the early 1900s, millions of Africans were captured, sold, and transported through the Trans-Saharan routes across the Sahara into North Africa, the Red Sea routes into Arabia and the Levant, the Indian Ocean routes to Persia, India, and Southeast Asia. Historians estimate between 10 and 17+ million Africans were enslaved over this period. Exact numbers are debated due to poor documentation, but the scale and duration are undisputed. Unlike the Atlantic trade, which focused heavily on male labor for plantations, the Arab-Islamic system had a different demand structure. Men were often taken as soldiers, guards, laborers, or eunuchs. Women and girls were highly valued as domestic servants, concubines, and sex slaves. Children were sold into households or trained for service. One of the most horrific features was the systematic castration of African men, especially those destined to guard harems or royal courts. These procedures were often performed in brutal conditions with extremely high mortality rates. Many boys died before ever reaching the market. This is one reason there are few large visible descendant populations today compared to the Americas. Women, meanwhile, were frequently subjected to sexual violence, forced concubinage, and lifetime servitude, experiences rarely recorded in official histories but preserved in oral memory and scattered texts. Islamic law technically encouraged humane treatment and manumission of slaves, yet slavery was legally permitted, and racialized practices developed over time. Africans, often labeled Zanj or Sudan, were disproportionately targeted. This contradiction led to resistance. The Zanj Rebellion, 869 to 883 CE, in present-day Iraq was one of the largest slave uprisings in history, involving tens of thousands of East African slaves. African societies also resisted through warfare, migration, and political restructuring. By the 19th century, global pressure, especially from European abolitionist movements, forced many Muslim empires to officially outlaw slavery. Ottoman Empire, gradual bans 1847 to 1882. Zanzibar and Oman, treaties with Britain in the late 1800s. Saudi Arabia, slavery officially abolished in 1962. Mauritania, abolished slavery in 1981, criminalized in 2007. Yet abolition on paper did not mean abolition in practice. Today slavery has not vanished, it has mutated. Across parts of North Africa, the Sahel, the Horn of Africa, and conflict zones, modern forms of enslavement persist. Human trafficking networks operating along old slave routes. Forced labor and sexual slavery linked to instability. Extremist and jihadist groups exploiting chaos to enslave women and children, justifying it through distorted ideology. International organizations estimate millions of Africans are still trapped in modern slavery, proof that history did not end. It simply changed its disguise. The chains may no longer be iron, and the markets may no longer stand in the open sun, but the routes still exist, the profits still flow, and the silence still protects the perpetrators. Slavery destroys us, religion divides us, ignorance controls us, and the truth scares us. The question history now leaves us with is chillingly simple. If a system can survive 1,300 years across empires, religions, and laws, has it truly ended? If people who did all this truly have a way to salvation, do you think they will be willing to give anyone on a platter of gold? Or are they only waiting for us to look away again? Want more stories like this? Hit like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our story, because this is just getting started.